The Netherlands recently ranked in the top 5 happiest countries in the world. I'm sure if the Verstappen win here today might push that up a couple of places. In 2007, an 8-foot-tall Lego figure was found in the ocean off Zandvoort beaches. Although Zandvoort was the first reported appearance of the sculpture, similar sculptures have washed up in the UK, USA and Japan. The exact origin of these is still unknown.
Well then, good evening everybody and welcome to JACKOCAR. When the mystery calendar was revealed, nobody saw this one coming, did they? I've been slagging it off all season. The Netherlands. And everyone bought it. Psych. Welcome to Zandvoort then. It is the opener of the Season 9 JACKOCAR Cup Series playoffs brought to you by our good friends at Premier Inn. And there's a lot of miserable people in the chat. And, well, tough luck, unfortunately. You're just going to have to deal with it. And to help me get through this place as well, because I hate it just as much as the drivers, is, of course, the current reigning champion, Mr. Ben Shaw. Good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Ricketts. Yeah, lovely to be here. Well, I'd tell a lie. It's not lovely to be here. I'd much rather be racing. However, I'd much rather keep my back in some sort of a decent shape for years to come. I am only 21 years of age, you know. But no, it's nice to be on this side. It's nice to have a microphone in front, in the Cup Series at least.
Yes,
so, yeah, it's good.
First time that you and I have done this together. Of course, we have heard your voice before on stream, many occasions down in the Kia series. This, I can assure you, is much the step up from those torrid drivers that we see trundle around on a Tuesday night. So hopefully you enjoy this. And,
yeah, I'll probably enjoy it a bit more than I did. I think it was Abu Dhabi Kia Series the last time I did a bit of a commentary work with Pete, and that was a dire race. And we tried to do the film review as Gareth and Yori like to do, but we had nothing prepared, so we just sort of waffled on for a little while and just made our way through it that way. But no, this is definitely going to be a bit more exciting. Hopefully less safety cars, but it is Zandvoort, and these guys don't like it, so it might.
It's one of those where there's not a lot of room for manoeuvre as well, so you may see the occasional dive bomb here. There were a handful on Tuesday night, of course. Just very convenient that Kia and Cup both raced here at the same time. That wasn't planned, so in the same week. But yes, the moves will be limited, but dangerous when they do happen, unless they are done safely down at Turn 1, which is the only real overtaking place. I don't know the corner numbers, by the way, so we'll waffle on and make that up as well as we go along throughout the evening. First up is Michael O'Keke, and the only change to make you aware of is, of course, Ben Shaw out for Nick Egan. You'll see Nick later on. Stage laps, as chosen by Ben Shaw, come at the end of lap 11 and lap 29, and there are no jokers. So, without further ado, let's get things underway. This is Zandvoort, and this is Michael O'Keke, as we go on board for a lap with everyone's favourite Michael, as he heads down towards, this is the overtaking place I was on about, Turn 1. A couple of lines you can take through here, but then on the exit it all tightens up as you head through 2 and 3, the little kink to the right, opening into what I find now, this left-hand hairpin is very, very open and fast now compared to previous games. Get on the power early enough to stop rinsing the gearbox as I was doing on Tuesday night, and OKK finds himself up the hill and down to the right and through he goes. Nice sweeping right-hander there as he tucks in again for another right, runs out wide to the left, and then breaking down to third or fourth gear, whatever is preferential to you, the driver. And then he'll come round here and open up the DRS once again. The short back straight here in the Netherlands gives me half a second to think about what I'm going to say for this next corner. Oh yes, this next corner. I could have won a race here a couple of years ago in the Kia Series, but I didn't move Jake Warrior out of the way, so it's my own fault. It would have been a lovely bump and run. And then final real corner for Michael O'Keke. DRS once again. And around he goes, back onto the main straight. He will set a banker lap for us. And that banker lap is a 109.820. And he will hand over to the first Dutchman of the evening. It is Michel Goris, as brought to you by Mr. Ben Shaw.
Yeah, very respectful up there by Keke. Same with Michel's lap. He's been knocking in the purple sector so far. Obviously, coming off the back of his win here in the Netherlands on Tuesday night in Kia Series, he must be full of confidence going into this one. He's probably the happiest driver on the grid. Nice and tidy through there. Got to really attack it on this bank corner, and I would like to think that this is going to go pole.
He takes the Jacket Ricketts line to the line as he keeps the right hand inside. I think I was the only driver to do that on Tuesday night in qualifying. But here's Jordan Lane, who, will he be happy? I don't know. He finds himself in the chase once again. The last time Jordan was in the chase, notably, of course, was season 1. I can't remember the other seasons that have passed, but he chase champion from season 1. And as the chase begins once again this season, Jordan is one of the stronger drivers, especially if you look at the form. I think he was 5th in points in the 6 races he's been here as he goes pole position here in the Netherlands. So the chase champion will hand over to the season 1 champion. It is Peter Knighton, already in turn 1. I don't know. Are we going to get the whole lap with Peter Knighton?
I believe we are, yeah.
I think we are, yeah. So the timings are a little bit off because of the short track nature. And Ben Shaw, welcome to the commentary box. We say this every week. We just changed the number. It's now 134 races since Pete last won. But speaking of Pete, the Mr. Dalton on 2 wins in a row. I said this in chat earlier. Only 2 drivers have ever won 3 in a row. And that's Kyle Smith and this man, Pete Knighton. So Corey looking to do what the number car 66 has done once before. Of course, back then it was car 21. 3 in a row. The first to ever do it was young Pete. Kyle Smith did go on to win 4 in a row. We've had a handful of drivers, including yourself and Jake O'Sullivan, Jamie Wright, have all won 2 in a row. Arnaud de Grief, Khalifa, but nobody other than those 2 have done 3 in a row. So it's a rare prospect that we're looking at as Pete Knighton comes round to complete his lap. The Cup drivers all like to stay to the right, it would appear, and he goes P2 over the line and will hand us over to the German of MK Born, Mike Kelterborn. He's in the final corner, Ben Short.
Yeah, well, just as you were saying, of the 3 in a row feat, I think especially nowadays with the rules as they are, it's going to be very difficult to sort of match the feats of Pete and Kyle, as you say. It's just with the nature and the safety cars and everything that we've changed over the years, it's just becomes less and less likely. But Corey Dalton, he's in amazing form. He might just do it. Respectable lap from Mike, but it's not gonna worry any of the top guys. I tell you why, so it's not respectable whatsoever. It's the 111. That's crap.
And Sullivan goes P1 for now then, a 109.6. Of course, another man in good form, down in the Kia Series at least, although has had a podium recently in Cup. We'll see more of Sullivan later on as we move on to the first of 2 Welshmen. It is Jamie Griffiths, who I can never find. There he is. And running that Mountain Dew car. I say it's a Mountain Dew car. I don't know it. What do you think? You're a fan of Mountain Dew?
Yeah, I'd say that's about a Mountain Dew car as you're going to get. The normal Mountain Dew obviously don't, but you know how I feel about Baja Blast. That's a different story altogether.
Of course, Ben Short introduced to American food and drinks with me, or by me, last year. One of his...
I've not lost the weight since.
I lost the weight before I went, so I'm actually at my normal level.
There you go, tactical. Yeah.
You can tell I've been there before. Final corner for Jamie Griffiths. Needs a good qualifying, really. He's had a bit of a nothing season. He will go P3 for the moment. I don't think he'll stay there. So 1 Welshman to another is everyone's least favourite Welshman. Where is he? He's down the bottom. Let me find young Ways, who is still on his outlap. I'm just going to very quickly check Mr. Yori Haslager to make sure he's not ahead. And I think he is.
He is.
Yeah, Yori's in sector
on his
1.
fast lap now. He's just gone through turn 1.
So that's an error on Ways' part as he begins his lap now. So we'll stay with Yori and we'll move to Ways in a bit. That is their fault, not mine, by the way. And speaking of faults, Jake O'Sullivan has promised me he's going to serve his qualifying ban today.
Well, I'd like to think so. I mean, if he misses 3 in a row, then we're looking at a double race ban, aren't we?
Yes.
It's a complete disregard for the rules.
It's a disqualification last week on lap 1, which we orchestrated over DMs between qualifying and the race itself. Jake's another man who's having a bit of a nothing season. He doesn't like this mystery setup. How have you found it so far?
Awful. to be honest. That's not to say that I spend hours and hours preparing for every single race. I don't, but I usually just like to give myself an hour before the race just to acclimatise myself with it and things along those lines. But I think it's probably partially due to that, and then also just due to the fact they've had a bit of bad luck. I missed the first race, and then I had, one DNF and then another one by sort of tactics, but it didn't mean anything anyway. But yeah, it's a different season. It's definitely different. I'm going to look forward to going back to knowing what I'm racing every week. Let's put it that way. But I enjoy the mystery of it. I do enjoy the mystery, even though it's been detrimental to my performance.
And you're not the only one to say that, I do know. I did mention to you a particular stat that may arise should you get knocked out in the round of 10 here. You'll be the first champion to be knocked out in the round of 10 following a championship winning season. How's that?
That's got to happen at some point, hasn't it? It's got to happen at some point. I would have liked it. It would have been a much easier excuse if it was in between games, but the same game. It's not as good of a look, is it, really? But, it's fine. I've got a title, Casper doesn't, so I'm completely content with that.
Fair enough. Even Pete Knighton made it to the round of 6, by the way, in Season 2 before his crash in Canada, which forced him out. Ben Harrett goes P7, by the way. And we'll move on to the man who was level with Ben Harrett on points, but had a better result in the regular season. So he went through on countback. 0 points in it between Danny Quinn and Ben Harrett. Ben Harrett, definitely the happier of the two, and probably the man you would pip for the Chase Championship, would you say? Looking at those names down there, Yori, Pete Knight and Jordan.
I'd definitely say he's probably the one to watch. Definitely the one to watch, but it can all change very, very quickly. Ben's been very up and down as well. He can get himself involved in incidents, that sort of thing. It's anyone's game at the minute, I would say. However, I will like to make one note on Quinn as he crosses the line, that this is the second week in a row that he has somewhat copied my liveries. Last week he copied my Portuguese livery, and this week it looks like just basically a different version of my championship winning livery.
Championship winning livery. That's both of you were in the championship for your respective championship 5 tiers last season. You won yours. What you're 1 for 5, and Danny Quinn, I believe I called it as you cross the line, is 0 for 0. Well, 0 for 5, I should say.
0 for 5, yeah. And that'll continue.
There we go then. Nick Egan, another driver we're going to get a whole lap on board with, because I can confirm Jake O'Sullivan has served his qualifying ban. Nick, by the way, I don't know if there's ever going to be a good time to announce this, but we're going to do it now. Season 10, our final season, coming up in the middle of July, the earliest start ever, 21 race calendar. What was I saying? Nick Egan will be full-time in the Cup Series.
Will he go?
He will. Oh, did you not know that?
I mean, to be fair, I did not know that. But to be fair, though, I mean, he's been reserved so many races this season, he may as well be a full-time driver at this point. I feel like every single week I see him.
Yeah.
So, I'm completely on board with that one, definitely.
Yeah, he's... I've raced in his league, so he can race in my league. The difference is I paid to race in his. Nick Egan, I'll give you some stats as we wait for him to finish his lap, if I can find him. He's not that high up. What's your name, Nick? 13 starts, 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 89 points. He's only led 4 laps and has never finished on the podium. But he's one of those drivers, as he goes pole position, who has a race win in him, I promise you. So after Nick...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, considering there's going to be 21 races next season, considering people are going to be coming in and out, especially over the summer, that July and August period is going to be so crucial for some of these drivers who don't usually expect to win races. There's going to be some top drivers who are missing out. It could all fall into their favour. I think we could have some mixed up results, especially in the first couple of weeks. But no, I'd like to see Nick get on the podium, definitely, at least next season.
At least I'd like to see him win. I just like seeing new race winners in the league. Gareth Hall, by the way, goes P7. I'm sure we'll talk about him later on. We'll move on to Leroy. Who's going slowly? It's Kieran. Is Kieran out early? No, he's not. It's just me. So Leroy, another Dutch driver, 1 of 3. The other 2 being Yori, who's already been, and Michel, who currently sits P8. Leroy... He's got to win this season, hasn't he? I keep forgetting that.
He does. Yes, he does.
So what can the Dutchman do? as he comes around the final 2 turns. DRS open. I imagine he'll stay to the right-hand side. Exactly, he does. Nobody did this on Tuesday, I do assure you. P2, that's an interesting front row, if it stays. And now, Ben Shaw.
I think it just sort of emphasises how good that lap is from Nick, really. That's going to be a very respectable lap going into these final 5.
Absolutely. And speaking of final 5, the fast 5, whatever you want to call it, Arnaud de Grief, your pick for the win today, as you said earlier.
He's just got to. I think he's got to make a statement of his own. You know, I think he's always sort of in the background of Corey and Khalifa, and on an off day for the others, Casper. You know, this is got to be Arnaud's time. It's got to be Arnaud's time to make a statement going into the playoffs.
P2, at least he didn't invalidate that one. He's a man who likes to lead a lap here and there, and as I've said before in commentary, you can lead as many laps as you like, can't you, Mr. Redmore?
You can indeed.
And I did actually contact Mr. Redmore the other day to see what his availability was like to return to the Cup Series for the final season. He said he now works on Thursdays and doesn't own a PlayStation. So if I put 2 and 2 together, I don't think he'll be with us as Kieran gets a little bit loose out of, I don't know, I'm going to call that turn 9, because I really don't know. But DRS open, can he salvage anything on this lap as we go on board of him? He stays to the left, interestingly enough. The first of the fast guys to do that, and over the line, it's P2. It has worked for him. Imagine if he didn't have that moment, he may well have gone on pole. So from Kieran to Khalifa, who's already flying around running the Bahraini colours with a bit of gold on there. I wonder if that's commemorating his Season 3 championship. Not many drivers, and by not many I mean only 6 people in the world have ever won a Cup Series title. This is one of them. The other one is in my left and right ear. And then there's 4 others as well, but we won't talk about them. It's all about Khalifa at the minute. How have you found racing Khalifa since he's returned to the Cup Series? Because it was very much the you and the Jake O'Sullivan show for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, when Jamie Wright left, obviously I enjoyed the prospect of him just being me and Jake. However, I feel like Khalifa sets that bar just a little bit higher. And he's unbelievable. I mean, we've had this conversation before that he probably will end up going down as the greatest ever. Without not looking at the stats point of view, but in terms of raw pace, he will be the best to ever to drive in this league, 100%. But no, he's great. He is great. I don't have many wheel-to-wheel battles with him. I feel like he's just a little bit ahead of my pace, but not over one lap over Nick Egan, as it seems. Whoever's, we need to check Nick's console. Might have some grip packs going on there.
No, you've got the wrong name. It's your mate Casper. He advertised this livery earlier today. This is his playoff livery, which is ERT blue. Will bring him ERT levels of success. Of course, such high expectations over there. Corey certainly performing for them. Khalifa has, Arnaud has. Can an ERT driver deliver a championship this season? As Casper goes P1, it leaves it all on the table for Corey to sweep up and take another playoff point, perhaps. He's got the highest regular season total of playoff points ever occurred. 52.
I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? I mean, we had the discussion about whether we should cap him at 40, but as I said to you, and then you ended up agreeing, was that he's earned them. He's earned every single one of them, and it's sort of a recognition of how good his regular season has been. Definitely one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Over the course of 10 races. Fully deserving of that amount of points, and as we were saying just before we went live, you can pretty much put his feet up now between now and Qatar, as long as he just turns up every single week and just does what he needs to do.
And Corey will go P15. Wow. But it doesn't really matter, as you say. I mean, I think an average finish of 7th will see him comfortably through to the Championship 5. Might not even be that high.
Am I right in saying there's a beach not too far away from Zandvoort, so maybe he's already there?
It's just over the road. I mean, I think you're much like me. You've been there, haven't you?
I have not. No.
Oh, you have not?
Not
okay.
to Zandvoort. No, only to Amsterdam.
Okay, I insisted to Mr. Hazelhager and Mr. Hazelhager that we attended to go to Zandvoort because I had different intentions over you. I said I want to go anywhere in the Netherlands that isn't Amsterdam because I'm bored of it. So I went to the beach at Zandvoort and Zandvoort itself. And Zandvoort, by the way, has a new pole sitter. It is Casper Klein, your mate.
I'm just looking in the chat now, and Kieran has just set up Casper in his dry setup, so maybe we're in for a bit of moisture.
A sprinkling.
In a couple of moments' time.
Believe it or not, Ben, that is only Casper's 5th pole position. And he is 3.5 attempts clear, mind you. Excuse me, that's wind. But Casper from Nick, then Kieran, Arnaud, Khalifa. That's a very feisty top 5, isn't it? Leroy, 6th. Sullivan, Jordan, Jamie Griffiths, Pete Knighton into the top 10. OKK, best qualifying of the season is P11. Normally I'd stop at 10 and say the rest are rubbish, but special mention to OKK, P11. We won't talk about the rest because they are, well, they're rubbish. Especially Jake, look at that. P20 in last. Didn't even set a lap.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Sector 3 splits just to sort of get an idea for the straight line speed, really, and Casper in the 20.9s and Khalifa in the high 21.1s. So that to me indicates maybe what Kieran is saying in chat is true, that there's a bit of rain that's going to come into play here, and Casper's wings are a little bit lower. But mind you, that's usually a characteristic of his. And well, there we go. It's not just wet; it's very wet.
I've not yet seen it. And now I have, and so is the rest of
that is moist.
YouTube community. Yes, moist like many things that we could mention.
Kieran's well?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. Yeah.
I had a message from Mr. Baldwin. This is off topic whilst the drivers pick their strategies. Mr. Baldwin, Barry Baldwin, that is asking, has he had 37 Cup Series starts? The answer is no. He's had 36.
Ooh.
But I shall reply to him there. Well, my stats say 36 anyway. So, the Netherlands. Because I'm so well prepared, I don't know the last time we raced here, but I know we've had quite the, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Quite the sabbatical away from this track in the Cup Series. I refuse to put it on the calendar.
If I recall, if my memory precedes me, the last time we raced here was when Jamie Wright was still alive and kicking around.
Yes.
Parts, when
Jamie Wright.
Him and Jake.
And there was another occasion where it was Jamie Wright and Kyle Smith fighting for a win, and that was decided on the final lap. So we've run it at least twice, but I don't think any more than that. And I think a good handful of these drivers, as we're going to see. Yep, Risky and Khalifa. That was Risky spinning into turn 1. We're going to see an early crash. At least you get out of the way, guys.
Yep.
So, another rundown for you. Casper from Nick. Of course, I believe, I mean, you might know more than me, but there's a little bit of beef there, perhaps. ERT, ex-ERT as well. So, and then, of course, Kieran, who likes to stir things up in P3, so this could be very interesting. Then you see Arnaud, Khalifa on the grid, Leroy, Sullivan, Lewis on the grid as well. Jordan up in 8th, Jamie 9th, Pete Knight in P10. Let's go, Ben Shaw, to the playoff standings as they are. Currently, Gareth Hall is -3 to Leroy, and Danny Quinn is -10 to Leroy. You are sat +4 in the playoffs, but not racing, so it's not over. And then in the chase...
It's not over. It's not over. However, we'll just say one moment while it's on my mind that this condition, and considering the little AMS that's just popped up and said that it's going to be wet the whole way through, it gives me confidence that some of the guys around me might not finish.
I'll come back to you.
Carry on.
And the chase, Mr. Sullivan Lewis leads by a single point over Ben Harrah. Everybody else is within 6 points. Of course, Waze Cuba with his penalties is -6. So is Jamie Griffiths, actually. They start the postseason on 497. But Ben Shaw, not racing. What would be your ideal outcome tonight? Like race winner, playoff points, who do you want them to go to?
Well, the idea would be for someone who's... Well, I'd be happy with the Corey win, I'd be happy with the Khalifa win. One of the two, because I feel like then they'll be in Qatar no matter what, so I don't really worry about them. Or one of the chase drivers, of course, because that doesn't impact me whatsoever. However, the ideals would be to see the likes of Leroy, Gareth, Quinn, Kieran not finish this race. Obviously, might be a bit of team conflict there. However, it's every driver for themselves, isn't it? And I wouldn't be ashamed to say that them retiring puts a small smile on my face.
And I've always said, as Jake O'Sullivan lines up, your friends are where you find them, because there are no teams in JACKOCAR. All 20 of them, not in order, but they have all lined up as we look at the back of the grid. Are going to get the 9th Cup Series postseason underway here in the Netherlands, and Sullivan Lewis has an early drive-through penalty just to ruin his race. Nick Egan sideways off the line. Kieran and Arnaud are going to sniff him out before turn one. Can Nick hold his own as Casper leads the way? We look further back. There's a little bit of a sideways action. Ways finds himself cycling to the back. But elsewhere, it all looks like we've got away cleanly. We go on board with Jordan Lane, who's retained P8. And we've got spinners, Corey and Yori at the back of the grid with Risky in front of them, who has a penalty. Ben Harrett and Pete Knighton getting very close as Gareth takes advantage of that. And I wonder if there was an issue there for Pete Knighton, or if he just come together with Ben Harrett, just like me and Liam did the other night, but we won't mention that one. It was his fault. Gareth already eyeing up the inside of Ben Harrett. Casper has pulled away over a second already, but we're not going to get any DRS as we see Khalifa make a move down the inside of Leroy Hazelager. Will he make it stick? It looks like he will. And yellow flags are out as Jaco Sullivan, by the way, has made his way up to 12th already. Only 2/3 of the lap done. Leroy's still down the inside of Khalifa, but I think this might be job done as he's up in that top line and can't get back in. Fights with Jamie Griffiths, and they're going to stay side by side, are they?
Put in the gravel.
And also Leroy Hazelager around. Yellow flags remain out, but there's no safety car on track. There is front wing. Leroy's front wing is on the inside of the final corner. Can he keep it out of that gravel? We stay on board with him. He won't be last. Sullivan Lewis, I imagine, will take his drive through on this lap. And Casper leads lap one.
Utter chaos down at the back. There was a Keke, Yori, Sully. I think they all in tandem went into the left-hand side wall after the hairpin with the gravel. They were all just slowly creeping away off the grass. So I don't know what's happened there. I don't know if there was a collision or not, but they've all ended up a long way back. Only lap 2. This is going to be a very...
Pete Knighton's off again. Sorry to interrupt, Ben. That's 2 laps in a row. He's gone off the inside there. Contact, and Pete Knighton goes around. How many times have we seen this? Pete Knighton in the wall. VSC deployed, and it's with his old foe, Mike Kelterborn, who put him there. And he'll be most unimpressed with that. Jaco Sullivan, by the way, up to P10. It should be noted. Cracking start for him, as he really needs to do something in this postseason. We didn't mention him at the start, but he currently sits 7 points clear of the drop zone as the VSC stays out.
Yeah, I mean, there must be something wrong with Pete's car besides the lack of front wing now, because that's 2 laps in a row now that he's really struggled to get over that crest and get down that corner. Both times he's gone really, really wide. And again, I mean, you can see him now, he can't steer. It's a boat. Mind the water, obviously, but it's a boat.
Nicely done. I like that. Pete Knighton, who earned 3 playoff points in the regular season, also had a 3-point penalty deduction awarded to him, starts the postseason on 500, just like everybody else. So he will be looking for a better outcome than what is currently P15. He is going to stay out for another lap, though. Oh, Jaco Sullivan. Not your season, is it? And Corey, because everyone else has been having issues, Corey's actually made his way back up to 13. We're going to go on board with Mike Kelterborn, because he is right next to Pete Knighton. But also can't turn in, Ben. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange. I mean, I'm assuming he must have some pretty bad floor damage or some side pod damage because of that incident with Pete, but he's not looking comfortable. And he also said in chat just before we got going that he has a dry Austria setup on, so I don't think that's really going to benefit him in a race like this.
That'll work. As OKK and Yori battle for what is P16. They will close in on these two. Oh, they're still together. I'm sure other things are happening, but Pete and Mike just has history written all over it. Mike down the inside, so I'm sure there'll be a bit of contact here. Pete Knighton, let's go on board with him. Is he going to push Mike into the next corner? He's actually going to go to the left, and Mike gives him racing room. That'll do. That's all you need, Pete. And Mike comes away on top. Casper sets another fast lap. His lead up to nearly 3 seconds, by the way. Beaten by Arnaud, then Khalifa. They are starting to find some time, these guys. Gareth Hall, there you go. Is he the fastest man in team speed? You can tell us.
No, Wavers.
And now Corey. 24.5 for Corey. Pete Knighton pits, so this is a mandatory stop. Also, Michel Goris, the race winner from Tuesday night. And Jaco Sullivan I believe that's a pit stop for the drive-through, but no actual changes to his car. He comes out P13. He was 10th. Let's see if we can find ourselves a little battle. Arnold versus Khalifa.
Michel changes wing in that pit stop as well, so he's obviously had some damage early on. You're already going on to the Inters.
Hold on.
Don't know if that's a mistake by the game or if... I mean, I can't... It doesn't look like it's going to be the crossover point. It still looks like it's pissing it down as much as it did when we got going.
Maybe.
This is actually going by Yuri Hasselog. I don't think this is going to end up well. I think
Yellow flags are out. Who's that for? Chris Kamara? It's Sullivan Lewis.
Sullivan.
Maybe the wet.
And sliding all the way out of that corner. He's really struggling. Really struggling.
Yeah, I don't think any of them planned... Well, none of them would have planned for the Netherlands, and they certainly didn't plan for rain. But yeah, I mean, you can only speak for team speed. OKK's facing backward. Water is wet.
Well, it is.
It's very wet today. You can only speak for team speed. I mean, has there ever been any talk of, Jacko might put the Netherlands in the calendar?
It honestly hasn't crossed our mind. It hasn't crossed our mind because we were in the exact same boat as what everyone else assumed, is that you absolutely despise this track and therefore wouldn't even consider putting it, never mind in the regular season, but in a playoff race, absolutely no chance. So this has shocked the entire grid, I can tell you that for a fact.
Yeah, and those guys who, Khalifa by the way on intermediates, those guys who don't race in any other leagues, they won't have a setup for the Netherlands. If you only race in JACKOCAR, you'd know there's no point getting a Netherlands setup. And I think that's why we're seeing so many struggling drivers. Those that do race in other leagues, Nick, Casper, Kieran, Arnold, all leading the way at the minute, and they seem to be doing so quite comfortably and quite happily. Jamie Griffiths up to P5. A few pit stops have helped put him there. I think he is about net P8 or 9 on merit. And where's Super Gareth? He's P7 in the middle of this fight for what is P5. As we see Corey get past Waze down in P9.
Just to get my Bernie Collins head on for a second there, the Inters are definitely the tie now. As commentators cursed, this rain has pretty much just stopped. All of a sudden, Khalifa's gained about a second in a sector on Corey ahead of him. So it is definitely the time. We're definitely at the crossover period. And we're going to see a lot of drivers coming in this lap.
And that's about as professional as this stream will get. Nick Egan also in the pit lane. I guess he's stayed out though. He's going to do it for a playoff point.
No.
And Gareth and Jamie Griffiths. Jamie Griffiths, one of those drivers on minus points or less than 500 points coming into the chase. So he would like to lead a lap to get a playoff point. But the whole midfield now on Inters. Arnold, what's right?
Arnold coming out of the pits very close to Khalifa. They are basically nose to tail.
Yeah, well, that's a jump then. Arnold in front of Khalifa. And Casper is way up the road. He's got this one covered. This race could do with a safety car.
I think it might do, especially with this crossover period. You never know. People might get a little bit too confident as the weather starts to dry up. Yeah. We'll see. So
here is Jamie
Of course,
Griffiths.
a very long way to go until we get to our next eligible pit stop. I'm not sure how long these Inters are going to go, whether they can last 23 laps until lap 29.
That's a very valid point, actually. Lap 29, well, it means lap 30 these guys can pit. And that will then give them a 6-lap sprint on whatever tyre they have left. We see Kieran into the pit lane. That means, let's go on board with Jamie Griffiths. Yeah, Gareth fails, so Jamie Griffiths won't get the lap lead. It was Kieran. I think it was Casper the lap before as well. We will double check after the stream ends, but Jamie will try and stay out to gain a playoff point. Khalifa setting the fastest lap.
He's going to struggle to make it to the end of lap 11. Only 5 seconds. He's got to need a hell of a lot more. This track's drying up now.
Yeah.
This is pure into conditions, and he's sat there on wets. It's got to be a struggle for him. He's already gained a second in about 2 corners.
Yeah, so big decision to make for Jamie Griffiths, because I know it's only a point, but it's a point that he desperately needs. Will he risk another lap just to gain that point? I know it's something I'm actually surprised to see Gareth come in. But yeah, Casper down to 4 seconds then. Anything else happening? Jordan Lane versus Gareth Hall, 3 tenths apart. No. Why would somebody
Everything else
put...
seems to be dying down.
Yeah, why would somebody put Netherlands on the calendar? That's a silly decision.
Very silly decision.
But I'm
Jamie,
sure it'll come
however,
good.
should get a lap. Should get a lap led.
Let's go back to him. Jamie Griffiths. This would put him... it would actually keep him 19th in the chase. And he will pit. We'll go on board with Casper. And Casper leads the lap.
Got that.
So Jamie Griffiths has stayed out and not taken advantage of it. That is silly.
I can't understand his thinking there. I can't understand it.
No.
Even for because he knew he was going to lose a lot of positions anyway, being the only driver out on wets. I think he should have just stuck it out. Maybe he thought he had enough time in hand to get to the line in time, but that was very risky. Very risky.
Yeah. Speaking of risky, he's down in P17 at the minute. The informed driver. In fact, Jamie Griffiths is battling with Corey as he comes out the pit lane. That was close. Jamie Griffiths, who was around net P7, P8, we said before the pit stops, has dropped down to P10. So he has lost out there because Corey certainly wasn't as high as 9th. So he's having a very good race on his way to 3 wins in a row. But yes, I was going to say the informed driver, Sullivan Lewis, not having an informed kind of day. Nick Egan, by the way, has picked up a little penalty, which I did not see. We'll just change this. It's a 5-second penalty. So that'd be speeding in the pit lane, one should imagine.
Must be.
And behind him...
However, he's holding his own up to now, regardless of the 5-second penalty, of course. I think he's been very respectable in his pace so far. I mean, I know we're only 9 laps in, but...
It's a 5-second penalty that he'll have to serve, of course, through his own fault. But also that gap behind him, up to now, you mentioned, is the correct terminology to use, because Arnaud is fast approaching, and he's bringing Khalifa and you could say Kieran with him. So Nick under pressure, still waiting for that podium. Corey gets past Jordan. He is on the move. How's our mate Jake O'Sullivan doing? He's sort of stalled out down in P12 after his drive-through, and I believe he also has made... They've all made a mandatory stop, looking at that. Everybody has a safety car stop in hand. And I wonder if we'll get one.
Well, if we do get one, it's going to be very, very tight on them trying to gamble it. You know, we're only going to get about 3 laps where that safety car window will be available. I think it's a bit of a shame, actually, because of the weather. The only made overtaking opportunity at this track is sort of not possible because of the DRS so far.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays out. We've still got a lot of time left.
Very powerful DRS as well. Let's actually go on board, sorry Ben, with Jake O'Sullivan as he tries to find a way past Waze, who sails out far, far wide. That was nice and easy. So Jake up to P11. And that is it for the minute. Let's go back to the battle up front. Kieran is closing on Khalifa, and Arnaud is definitely closing in on Nick. It's now down to less than 7 tenths. They are on the same age tyres. 4-lap old Inters, and Casper's lead is over 5 seconds. He couldn't do that in Las Vegas, could he?
He could not.
He still ruse that error. Ruse? That's the word, isn't it?
Yeah, ruse.
Yeah,
ruse.
Thank you.
I think he more so rused the fact that he didn't absolutely send me
bump and run, yeah,
into the Vegas streets.
Perfectly legal.
Very, very much said many times that I would have done it without a second thought.
The thing that annoys me most about that is, despite Ben Harrett's penalty, it would have been the first time we had all 5 Championship 5 drivers cross the line in the top 5 positions. So that weight, for me at least, goes on. I'll tell you what, though. Go on.
Part of me thought, though, there was at least one before, but...
No, we had a top 4, didn't we? It was the ELT boys in Season 3.
Of course.
Khalifa, Arnaud, Janel, and Kyle. And of course, Corey, he crashed on our screen in the pit, not in the pit lane. Oh dear, Jamie Griffiths. But according to Corey, his controller disconnected. Not sure. So Jamie Griffiths is not here. You are watching an AI car. Not his fault, obviously, so he can't be penalised. But Waze will have to be keeping it in mind that he's racing was effectively a nobody. And what can Waze do? This is the opportunity you'll want to get past him. You're going to have to send it into turn 1. early braking from the ghost of Jamie Griffiths, but it will be a completed move for Waze. And if you're going to struggle against 61% AI, don't do it on stream. Bloody hell, Waze. But he does eventually get past.
Hello, Khalifa making a move on Arnold.
Yeah.
Had a thought about it. Had a thought.
Yeah.
Kieran's
Music.
gonna get involved as well
There you
now.
go. There you go. Let's go on board with Kieran. See what it looks like from behind. It looks like that. Arnold struggling. Kieran going for a gap. But Arnold shut the door very late on. Maybe a little bit too late. Arnold does have a small history of doing such a thing, but I'm sure Kieran won't be swearing too much. I'm joking. He'll definitely be swearing.
Definitely.
What the fuck's this
There's
guy
not
doing?
any damage from it.
Oh, Arnold has a moment at the final corner, and it affects Kieran, who has to lift off. It's going to let Khalifa get away. Does Kieran have a run on him? I don't think he does, because of the little twitch that Arnold had, and that settles him in for another lap here. So good move from Khalifa in the end. Sorry once again, Ben Shaw, for interrupting.
That's all. That's all. Yeah, not very good sector from Arnold there, but I think Kieran definitely will be swearing now. After the contact, definitely. After the little wiggle, which has lost all momentum, definitely.
He is looking the faster driver at the minute as well, as we focus on Gareth Hall and Ben Harrett. By the way, Casper did win the first stage here, so that's a playoff point for him. It's lap 11. The next one comes at lap 29. And yeah, this battle you're watching here, Gareth and Ben Harrett, is the closest one as it stands.
Just have a bit of light entertainment while we're settling to what is relatively a boring race. I'm just having a watch of Peter Knighton and him trying to get himself around the track. He's coming into the pit now. This might be a retirement.
Ooh!
And he's hit the wall in the process. I think this may be a rage quit from Mr. Knighton. Add another DNF to the tally, perhaps?
Well, I'll tell you what, if it is a DNF that comes Peter Knighton's way, that'll be number 50, a half century of retirements from 142 race starts. He has a finishing rate of 2 in 3, Peter Knighton. He tried to hit the pit wall as well to make it number 50, but the game has decided to bless him or not bless him, however you want to look at it, and has kept him in. We will stay on board with Pete Knighton because the rage is flowing around his body. He comes out obviously last, but where is Casper? He's not been lapped yet, has he? No, it's not that bad. As Arnold and Kieran are battling away. Oh, not there, Kieran, surely not.
As we're looking at this three-way battle between Khalifa, Arnold and Kieran, I just keep on noting that Jake and Corey are consistently putting in purple laps after purple laps after purple laps. They are the two fastest men on track right now. Corey's got a bit of traffic in his way. He's got Gareth and Ben Spurs, which we know how that ended last time those two got together. He's sort of the third man in this train, but they are definitely the two quickest out on track. And as Corey stuck behind these guys, Jake is slowly reeling them in.
Jake will be noting that as the temps come down, and Corey will desperately want to get past Gareth. We go on board with the young man from Oxfordshire. Gareth runs a little wide. That will just invite Corey to have a little sniff, but Gareth has been stuck behind Ben Harrett for many a lap now. So can Corey dispatch of him and then get in front of Ben Harrett as quick as possible, because Mr. O'Sullivan has found a second since we've been on board with Corey already. So progress is definitely being halted. Corey gets out the spray of Gareth to try and see where he looks, or see where his braking point is going to be. Fastest lap from Jake O'Sullivan, and whilst Ben Shaw was telling you about this, we did see Jamie Griffiths return, so all 20 cars, 14 laps in, are still running. Gareth runs wide, Corey has another sniff, but it's nothing doing there. 3.2 seconds the gap back to Jake O'Sullivan, the two-time Cup Series champion. And what else is happening around the track? Arnold still in front of Kieran. Here is Ben Harrett and Gareth Hall going side by side. Contact once again, just like there was in Las Vegas. But Gareth Hall, the fretter Corey, has forced him to make a move, and through he goes. So let's go on board with Corey. How long does it take him to get past Ben Harrett? Ben Harrett, a bit like yourself and Jake O'Sullivan, who have not enjoyed this season, not knowing where they're racing until 1 minute before we ready up. And he's holding his own currently in P7, but here comes Corey. No championships to his name, but this is the closest he's been to one in his time in the league. It is looking like his season. unless somebody has something to say about that. Khalifa, Arnaud, Jake O'Sullivan, Ben Shaw. I wonder. Final quarter then for Corey Dalton. Fast lap, by the way, for Pete Knighton. He hasn't given up yet.
Screenshot that. Put it in the records right now.
And does Corey have enough? Turn 1, late dive, and through up into P7 he goes. Good move from Corey. He needed to make it to stay with Gareth and to get away from Jake, who is now down to 2 seconds away from this battle. Ben Harrett spins around. Yellow flags are out, and Quinn is out of this race.
Safety car.
And that is just what the doctor ordered. And Pete Knighton will be promoted to P19. That, by the way, Ben Shaw, is excellent news for you, because Danny Hall is minus 10 from the cut line, which means you'll be at least in front of him next week.
Get in!
Celebrations from Merseyside. And
yeah, as you say, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. 500 milligrams of a safety car, and Casper, that 7-second lead, he's going to be absolutely livid with that, because all that hard work is just completely undone. And we've still got another 15 laps until we can stop again. So it's
game on.
It's back to as it was. Yeah, game on.
Basically, the first 15 laps are now rendered absolutely pointless. Not much to give a debrief about whilst we wait. So, taking inspiration from our good friends in Kia Series, Gareth Hall and Jori Haslager, they like to do this. Oh, safety car pit stops. They are non-mandatories, by the way. They like to talk about movies to waste the time, but I'm going to give you, Ben Shaw, the option to talk about what you want in this safety car period, because there really is nothing to talk about.
There isn't much to talk about. I mean, we were discussing the NASCAR Drive to Survive, weren't we? And I thought that was much better done than the F1 counterpart. No doubt about it. And just to go back off topic and go back to the racing, Khalifa, smart stop. He's only lost 1 position, and he's come out with fresh inters, 10 laps fresher than everyone else around him. Same for Arnaud as well. Corey and Jake, I was going to say they were going to be the happiest to see the safety car come out, but with Khalifa and Arnaud able to get out ahead of them with fresh inters, probably not as much now.
Nope.
But going back to the NASCAR thing, I thought it was brilliant. As when we were in America, you were talking to me about the Denny Hamlin podcast. We had a listen on the way back to Chicago, and I thought it gave me a little bit of a different view of him, and my likeness to him sort of grew. But after watching the documentary, it's gone even further. I think he's a brilliant guy. I love him. He's what I aspire to be.
Yeah.
Despite being a Ross Chastain fan.
By the way, Waze is on medium tyres, so we'll see how this goes.
There's a couple, Sully as well.
Sully, yes.
I'd imagine Leroy and, well, presumably Pete, since they're on the same party, might do the same. This is going to be interesting. Yes. These mediums will go to lap 30.
Well, it is going to be inters for Leroy. Pete Knighton is staying out, is he? Yes, he is. So yes, to touch back on Denny Hamlin, my first Daytona 500 was his third Daytona win. And I couldn't help but feel when I was in the stands there, obviously a Jimmy Johnson fan, primarily, amongst others, your Corey LaJoyes, Matt DiBenedetto back then as well. I thought, Denny Hamlin, that's a boring winner, you know? But as time has gone on, I'm so glad I've got to see a Denny Hamlin win. Because the podcast, the NASCAR, was it Full Speed on Netflix?
Yes, Full Speed, yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. And you get to learn a lot about the man. He's got an arrogance about him, which if I was perhaps new to NASCAR, I wouldn't like. But where I've learnt about him, and so you end up starting to like someone, don't you? And that's what Denny Hamlin is to me. So certainly the most recent Daytona, I was cheering him on for many a lap when he was out in the lead. Never happened. It ended up being William Byron this year. But not mad about that either, because he's driving the old 24 car. So
can't beat.
No.
Very interesting to note, Kieran, the first of the front runners to move on to the mediums in the rain, has essentially... He doesn't look comfortable, really.
Ben Shaw, I'll alert you now to some mic problems there. You might want to take out and put back in.
How are we?
That's a lot better.
Brilliant. As I was saying, Kieran, he's gone into the mediums and he looks pretty comfortable. There's still a bit of spray on the track, but he doesn't seem to be struggling too much with traction up to now. Touch wood, obviously. Commentator's curse. But this is going to be interesting now to see if these mediums are doable. As I say, they'll definitely.
Well,
go to
Casper
30,
pits
but
from the
whether
lead then.
There we go.
So the time is now.
Everyone's coming in.
This is going to throw it up in the air. It's going to put Kieran into a race-winning position. But Jake O'Sullivan stays out on the intermediates. I think that's the wrong decision.
He's made a bad call there. He's made a bad call. A lot of softs, a lot of mediums. There's going to be some very different strategies going on here. Will softs go to lap 30? 12 laps on a 50% race.
I've just seen, by the way,
close.
Peter Knighton overtake the safety car. I don't know if he was allowed to or not, but he has.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Okay, he's unlapped himself.
He would have been fuming. I was thinking about it. When Khalifa and whatnot were ahead of him, and they could have let him go so he could overtake the safety car and unlap himself. But no, since he's the closest car to the safety car and he's lapped, you are allowed through.
Very well. Thank you very much. Of course, the best drivers aren't ever in a position to get lapped, so I wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that.
No, but I can hear Pete nattering on about it.
Pete Knighton knows a thing or two about being lapped. 50 DNFs, 3 race wins. We were bigging him up as well at the start of this session. 3 race wins in a row. One of only 2 drivers to do it. Corey Dalton, how do you look now? P7. It's definitely doable from there. Everyone also has to make a mandatory stop. Don't forget that. And the safety car will be in this lap. So Pete Knighton, does he pit? Or does he stay out? He stays out just to catch up to the guys in front of him. Jake O'Sullivan leading the field away on very worn. Oh no, they're not very worn. They're 1 lap old intermediates, but they pitted the same.
That might have been a mistake.
Yeah,
that might have been a mistake on Jake. Then I think he might have not changed his tyres in the menu before. But Jordan and Waze, 2nd and 3rd on merit.
That is on merit.
That Jake is going to come in next lap. So.
Well then,
Kieran will be very happy to see those 2 behind him with Casper on softs, definitely.
Kieran yet to have a race win this season, but let's go on board with Jake O'Sullivan. When does he get things underway? He can't pit. He's got to stick this out Lewis Hamilton style. And who goes first? It should be Jake O'Sullivan. And there he goes. Can he hold on? Let's now go on board with Kieran Spears down into turn 1. Is there going to be a move? No. And Jordan, by the way, as you say, looking up the inside. Can he do something with this? As it stands, though, Jake, if he can hold on, you'd like to think he'll just stay out there. If the Inters are still feeling good. Pete Knighton did not catch up to the back of the train, and nor did Leroy Haselager, who sets the fastest lap. Casper up to 3rd. Yellow flags fly. Mike Kelterborn is out of this race.
And we're back under.
And that is excellent news for the 2 speed boys that trundle round at the back. Pete Knighton will stay out, so he'll catch up first, then he'll pit.
Yeah, unbelievable move by Casper there. He was noticing that Jordan was far too focused on ways ahead of him, and he's just gone right round the banking with those fresh soft tyres, and he just took them easy as you like.
That's what you can do.
Concern Kieran. It'll concern Kieran now, especially with the 2nd safety car. We're going to get probably 2 more laps under this condition. So those softs now, they should probably go to 30. I would like to think so anyway.
I too would like to think so. We weren't expecting dry weather though, so this now favours those guys who did put dry setups on, which I anticipate would be everyone. There's no way anybody's had a wet setup for this track.
Maybe people have put on into setups to sort of accommodate for both, but I mean Casper, judging off his qualifying lap, I would definitely say that his is more towards the dry side of things, so
he's going to be rapid.
I would like to say is probably going to be Casper at this point in time, but a lot can happen. Jake's still out there on inters, by the way, so on this restart it could get very, very messy.
Yeah. Casper actually having a very good season, 2 wins already, and if he gets 1 more, he'll join that exclusive list of double-figure race winners. I'll run through them, the Cup Series ones anyway. Jamie Wright on 19, Khalifa El Khalifa 15, Arnel de Grief 12, Jake O'Sullivan 12, Kyle Smith 11, Ben Shaw 11, and Corey Dalton 10. So Casper looking to join that very exclusive club. How many champions in that list? Jamie, Khalifa, Jake, Ben. 4. Not bad.
Is that every champion?
No, we're missing Pete and Kieran, actually. Kieran only on 8 race wins. The good champions are there. That's all that matters.
Definitely. Could be.
So then, Pete Knighton is electing to stay on intermediates, as is Jake O'Sullivan, but we'll stay with him because you would fully anticipate a pit stop.
Yeah, if he's wise here, I think it's the only call he's got to make, really. He's not going to get to lap 30 with these inters on, no chance in hell. So he may as well just bite the bullet and take what he can.
He'll drop to 16.
The back of the grid. Yeah, about that point. Yeah. With those the three loonies at the back, the three speeders.
Oh, really no way! No way!
Stay here now.
Oh, what is he doing, man? I
like it. It's
I like
cause some issues on this restart.
Does he know something that we don't? Is the rain? Is this dry period a small window?
Surely not. The skies are getting lighter and lighter as time goes on, and you wouldn't think that. Mind you, though, Jamie Numbers in the pits, fresh
intermediates. Oh, don't do it to us!
Watch this space.
Jamie Numbers, who only wins the epic races, goes back onto a set of intermediates. Of course, you may remember Monza final lap. You may remember Silverstone final lap, beating the likes of Arnaud and Michael O'Kk respectively on those days. Is it another one of those days? A win for him puts him right in the mix, especially with the 6-point deficit that he already holds off the starting total for the Chase campaign goers. That's going to be brilliant if the rain comes back. Do we want the rain to come back? I don't even know.
I don't know. Well, I mean, considering we're going to get another crossover period around the stage laps, yeah. Definitely, because if we're going to get it around 27, 28, there's going to be people slipping around on dry tyres and trying to get it to lap 30. It's going to be very interesting. But we'll see. Maybe that's a mistake from Jamie. Or maybe he's just trying to hope.
Well, to note,
rain dance.
Peter Knighton has gone on to the soft tyre, finally. So he is at the back of the grid with Yuri. So yeah, interesting times ahead, as we see the cars allow the safety car to break away and enter the pit lane. It will be Jake O'Sullivan once again. I think it's going to be, let's go on board with Casper for this restart. Definitely. See what he does.
I mean, knowing Casper, I would like to think he's going to go very aggressive into 1 and then probably very aggressive into 3 as well.
Oh, you know it.
Big bank corner. He'll have so much confidence after the Jordan Ways double move. He'll fancy his chances on Kieran. He'll definitely fancy his chances on Jake through that section.
Yep, Ways dropped down to 7th and Jordan is behind Casper in 4th. So it's over to you, Jake O'Sullivan, to get things back underway for the second time in the Netherlands. And he waits and waits and waits. Kieran gets impatient and green flag back in the air. Then Jake O'Sullivan leads the way. And look at Casper's restart. He's going to bring Gareth with him. Does he go aggressive into turn 1? Casper, no. He's going to wait his moment. But Kieran defends the inside. He's going to get touchy-feely with Jake O'Sullivan in turn 3. What does Casper do on the outside here? Jake O'Sullivan can't hold on. Casper gets pushed to the white line, but makes his way through on Jake O'Sullivan, and down to 3rd goes the 2-time champion. Casper's on his way and chasing after Kieran. Gareth 4th, Jordan P5, Khalifa 6th, and Corey gets past Ways. Another move made. So good restart from Kieran, good one from Casper as well. And now we hope that the rain comes back, and it's starting to rain, Ben Shaw.
It's starting to rain. Oh, I just got a little drop on the screen. Oh my God, get the brollies back out. Fucking hell, we're in for a classic.
And as Jake O'Sullivan continues to fall down the order, he's actually on the correct tyre, would you believe? And it's a masterstroke by JB Griffiths as well, who's P last in 18th. Yellow flags flying for Sullivan Lewis. But what does this mean? What do the drivers go on to? Will they string it out to lap 29? Jake O'Sullivan side by side with Ways, and through comes Arnaud. He's going to make an easy move. They all dart to the right, but none of them picking the pit lane just yet. Of course, the dry tyre is still the right tyre for the moment. But these inters, as long as they don't burn out, they will come back to the likes of Jake and Jamie as Ben Harrett gets through his good pal. No, he doesn't actually. He's still there. The Tuesday night's race winner actually makes a move on Ben Harrett, and it's a good one. Oh, they're going to make it three wide. Surely not. Oh, no. There's going to be contact, and somehow all three survive. Nick Egan in the mix of that, and Yuri's made his way up to P14. Yellow flags out once again. It's for Michael OKK, who finds himself backwards, and P17. Sullivan Lewis goes on to the inters. And we have all slowed and calmed down for what I believe is
a VSC. Yeah.
A VSC. God, well, take a breath, Ben Shaw. That was brilliant.
Oh my God, this is exactly what we wanted. This is exactly what we wanted. VSC confirmed there, but this is perfect for Jake. This is perfect for Jamie. This is perfect for Sully, albeit he is a little bit further down. He's probably going to end up coming back into the mix if people choose to pit before the stage. But this is what we wanted. Dry to wet to dry. You'd just think we've changed the weather ourselves, which I, honest to God, we didn't. But with the way it's gone, you'd have thought we had.
Casper will pit. Does he bring Kieran with him? No, he doesn't. What does Gareth do? He'll stay out. Green flag back in the air. 5-second penalty for Casper Klein. That's huge. That's the race win. Open to anybody who wants to come and take it now. At the moment, Kieran is looking best placed, but you could argue he's on the wrong tyre. And Casper will come out P15 behind Jamie Griffiths. Where does Jake O'Sullivan sit in all of this? He's still being swamped, I believe, but the VSC would have slowed things down enough to bring the tyres back into an operating window. Yellow flags out. It's Yuri. Pete Knighton, is it? No, it's Yuri in the wrong way. That's a dangerous rejoin, and if that gets reported, I will not blame Casper for it. That was awful. I'm going to call Yuri Danny Quinn for the rest of this race.
6 to go until this pit stop window. It's already getting very, very wet. You can see Kieran, I'm watching on board now, he's starting to struggle on these exits. The lines are starting to appear again back on the track. Jake O'Sullivan, down in 10th, has gone from the worst race of probably his career so far. It could be one of his best. He could be making his way through to the round of 8. Let's see.
The only thing you could say is Jamie Griffith's tyres are in a better condition. What does Kieran Spears do? He stays out another lap, just to annoy Gareth, who will not pit. Corey Dalton, however, is going to make a move on dry tyres down into turn 1 on Gareth Hall. He now sits P2 in this race. And the order is so messed up as we see pit stops for Arnold and Jordan, Michelle, Ben Harrett, Nick, Pete. They're all in.
Corey getting tagged a little bit by Gareth there, 2 and 3, but it's just, as you say, it's so mixed up. But the top 3 as it stands right now, if we assume everyone stops, is Jake, Jamie, Casper. I can't call it. And we've still got another pit stop to make in 5 laps time.
And crucially, we also have one either VSC or SC remaining. We've used up 4 of the 5 allocation, so that could also play a factor as we look at about 11.5 laps to go. Kieran leads by 4 seconds, but it will cycle to Jake O'Sullivan being the race leader. He's currently on the back of Leroy, who's definitely on the wrong tyre. So a masterstroke from the 2-time champion. That's why he's a 2-time champion.
Making
decisions
moves.
like
he's
that.
Overtaking.
Yep. So there you go. And how long has it been since we saw Jake win a race? I think it was the last playoff race of last season, perhaps. Khalifa gets past Arnold, by the way, and DRS has been disabled. Perfect call. Kieran in. What does Corey do? He stays out. So Gareth comes in. Waze stays out as well. Oh no, surely not. And
they're going to stick it out. They're going to try and stick it out until lap 30. And it's a bold call. Waze, I understand it. Corey, he may as well. There's no harm to him. There's no harm to him in this current situation.
No, and Leroy also into the pit lane, by the way, to get rid of those softs as we ride on board with Waze, who is definitely struggling. Let's go on board with Jake instead, who's not struggling. He gets to the back of the Welshman, and he can go wherever he wants because Waze will wash out wide, will he? No, he won't. So Jake has to wait his moment. No one behind him. It's all in his hands. It's just inevitable. Waze to the left, and Jake to the inside. That will be one of the easier moves he makes, and Mr. O'Sullivan leads a race for only the 2nd time this season, maybe the 3rd time this season. Let me correct myself there. Corey, however, his gap has not dropped away as much as we thought it would, but this is the last lap. He has to pit this time around because that car is all over the place.
Yeah, he's struggling loads, and Ways I'd imagine will probably stay out, but Corey's pride won't allow him. I think he'll definitely box this lap and just hope he can filter out in a decent position.
No, he's not.
No, he's staying out. Fair play, but he's lost a second and a half in a sector. He's got to tumble. It's going to be an issue for him later on. But as we've said already, it's not a concern to Corey right now. He's okay.
And let's go with Casper, who has got past Jamie, but don't forget, Casper will have to serve that 5-second penalty at the next pit stop. And of course, there are pit stops to come from lap 30 onwards. Where do we go next? Arnaud and Khalifa, they're battling away. Arnaud in the gearbox of Khalifa, it should be said. And Jamie Griffiths within a second of Casper, who's still driving very well. Perhaps he does have a wet setup. He's going to make Waze look absolutely rubbish. He's going to replicate the Jake O'Sullivan move in the same place at the same corner. Jamie Griffiths will follow shortly. We'll go back to Jake, who is very much within the overtaking window of Corey Dalton. Maybe it won't be 3 wins in a row. It's one of the hardest things to do in all of esports. Jake O'Sullivan around the outside, surely not. What a move that would be if he could pull it off. Corey gives him just about enough racing room, but it also gives Jake O'Sullivan the inside and the race lead. And there he goes. Away he goes. And on to... Oh, he's already got 1 win this season. Corey is going to stay out. Of course, I think Corey...
No, I don't want to preempt things, but looking at it right now, as we see a yellow in Sector 3, this should be a Jake straight to the win now. He's been good on the inters so far, as we were saying very early on in the race, which feels like a lifetime ago now. The constant knocking into those purple laps on the inter tyres, he's comfortable. He's very comfortable. And with the Casper penalty, of course, as well, it's only going to play more into his favour.
The only things that can really stop him now is himself, really. As Gareth gets past Waze, he would have enjoyed that one. In fact, Waze is causing all sorts of havoc to himself. But yeah, Jake O'Sullivan could still speed into the pit lane, forget to pit, or crash, get a penalty. It's never over until it's over, as Casper retakes P2 from Corey, and Kieran, who was for a short time in a race-winning position, is now trying to get himself into P2. Waze down to P11. I understand the logic between Corey and Waze, I really do. 2 more laps of this absolute hell. Corey's off into the gravel and picks up a penalty. It's that easy. Through goes Jamie Griffiths. Through goes Khalifa El Khalifa. It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It was an understandable strategy about 5 or 6 laps ago, but this rain has come down so heavily. I mean, it's getting to the point now where if we remember back to the very start of the race, it's getting close to wets again. And then there's going to be a question of what tyres you go on to when we at the next possible opportunity, which is, of course, the end of next lap. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. There goes Leroy. He's through on Waze. It'd be Nick Egan next. Corey overtaken by Gareth. And so Jake's lead is very much the same, actually, isn't it? Because Kieran is actually right with the young Finn. This is interesting. We'll stay with this. Lap 29, by the way. Casper runs a little bit wide. Does Kieran sense an opportunity? He is driving better of the two. He's up the inside. Off board we go. Casper will have the better grip out of the corner, but I think Kieran used a bit of ERS and up into P2. Will he make it stick? No, because Casper comes back through.
He's fighting hard, but it's that 5-second penalty. I think it's at this point is just trying to restrict Kieran and back him up into Khalifa, who's in 4th, and just trying to reel in them both.
Yeah,
I think that's all really what Casper's going to be doing at this point. Is just playing the team game and recognising that he is going to fall down the order when these stops come at the end of this lap.
Casper would, you'd like to think, wouldn't you? Casper would also prefer I don't know, would he? He certainly wouldn't want a Kieran victory, but is a Jake O'Sullivan victory any better? Kieran is closer in points. In fact, actually, tell you what,
logic, I would say a Kieran win.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Shaw, they're both on 7, as in, sorry,
it doesn't matter then.
1010. So yeah, Kieran or Jake, it really holds no difference to Casper. Gareth up ahead of Jamie Griffiths, and Corey, who has now pitted, at the right lap, it must be said. Waze is still out there, so that one doesn't make sense anymore. Unless he's here to be a nuisance.
Corey did not pit on the right lap. He pitted what would have been the end of his 29.
Oh, that's very true.
So that is not a valid stop for Corey.
Oh dear. So he's going to go from 2 race wins to a DSQ. Because that's what I immediately assume, and Waze is having a moment. Somehow doesn't crash as he gets overtaken by Yori in the process, and there's more yellow flags, and Waze is off and having an absolute nightmare, leaving debris all over the track. It's only JACKOCAR who's behind him now, some 30 seconds away. Pit stops for Jake O'Sullivan and Casper Klein means Kieran is back to the lead. Khalifa P2 and Gareth, who still hasn't led a lap this race, by the way, he's been awfully close, is having to wait his moment. I'm sure in the next 5 laps he will get that. Yeah, he has to.
He definitely will stay out as long as he physically can. He'll say it's down to safety car, but we all know the truth, Gareth. He just wants to get that one playoff point if he can get it.
It's he'll be talking to Kieran and making sure Kieran stops. I think the most laps led has gone to Casper. I will have to double check that post race. As we see, not even Waze. Are you pitting this lap? You are. That is correct. Corey, however, is on his way to a DSQ. There's yellow flags for... Oh dear.
Yori. Blocking the pit lane.
That won't bring a safety car out, I don't think.
Shouldn't. Yeah, and what I'm assuming is he's spun on the exit of the pit lane, and it's one of those instant DSQs where as soon as you're facing the wrong way in that sort of situation, they don't even let you try and turn it back around.
Awful.
They assume you're just blocking the pit lane and being a prick.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate for Yori on the home race.
Yeah, he's waited so long for the Netherlands to come around in a Cup Series calendar, and he's going to be a DSQ along with his good mate Corey Dalton.
Sully's round.
So he is. I need to sneeze, Ben. Should we do it live?
Go on.
Oh, I'm teasing it now.
See, you can't do it now.
No, I can't do it.
You can't do it. You piped it up.
It's there, but it's not there, you know? Things are happening. Oh, there's pit lanes. Pit lanes are happening.
Pit lanes are. That's Pete and John. We're 5th and 6th. Now they're going to tumble down the order. But they might just come out ahead of Leroy, which I hope they do. Maybe they don't.
I think they're battling, actually. They are indeed. Yeah, and Leroy gets the better of them. More yellow flags for a spun.
Back in the gravel.
JACKOCAR.
Back in the gravel for a JACKOCAR.
Oh, that car does not look fun to drive. Not one bit. Kieran, Khalifa, Gareth all yet to pit. Jake O'Sullivan has pitted. It's in his hands. And look at the gap to Casper.
It's a coast. It's a coast. He should be able to just canter at home now, these last 4 laps. Because obviously we know that the 3 ahead of them are going to stop. And Jamie Numbers, as it stands, taking up a podium. Which I'm sure he'll be very, very happy about.
Yep.
Big for his chase campaign.
Absolutely. And of course, Jake O'Sullivan, should he win, that'll be number 13. It'll put him 4th all time, clear of Arnaud, who will stay on 12. Arnaud has had a bit of a nothing race. He is 12th. And yeah, we're just waiting for these final pit stops to come in. Kieran will come out 4th ahead of Casper. And the rain is starting to soften off once again. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get to the dries now with only 3 laps to go, but Gareth will be pleading and pleading and pleading that Khalifa's going to stop before lap 35, because if Khalifa's doing the same thing and actually is genuinely hoping for a safety car to try and rectify any sort of hope for this race, I mean, it's got to happen in the next sector and a half if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Gareth will definitely stay out until 35. So let's see how this one goes. I'd like to think Khalifa would come in this lap. If there's no hope of a safety car, he may as well cut his losses, come in on the fresh ones and see what happens at the end.
Corey, by the way, has made an extra pit stop, so he won't be disqualified. A few points here and there, he doesn't need them, they'll be fine. Already safely into the round of 8 as we watch Khalifa come round and lead another lap, much to the despise of Mr. Hall.
It's torment. It is torment.
It is.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Because he's only in
Watson
P2
Garrett's
for
head
one
right
reason.
now. He is absolutely livid. He is desperate for this lap. Please, please. I think at this point he'll end up not even pitting at all, take the DSQ, and just so we can have the playoff point. That wouldn't surprise me when it comes to Mr. Gareth.
Yeah, which of course, even if you get disqualified from a race, if you've led a lap, it does count. Happened to Matt Lester in Austria this season in the Cup Series.
Hello, Sully.
Yep, and yes, it promotes. Oh dear, he's really struggling. Has he had damage like the whole race? Although he did struggle on Tuesday night.
It might just not be his track, and with the inters on as well, it's not going to work, is it really?
No. We go back to Khalifa. Surely, this lap, there's nothing else going on other than the Pete Knighton and Leroy battle, but they're not really close enough. So we will go with Khalifa. If he leads this lap, then it means Gareth Hall will not get a playoff point. So what will the Bahraini do? He will pit. So let's go on board with Gareth.
Oh, it's a kick A again. Turn one. He's got a spin.
Yeah, we're going to see it from Gareth's point of view. He's on the inside, is OKK out the way. So Gareth, who has a just over 4-second lead to Jake, has to pit this lap.
And this has got to be close, because if you remember back to Jamie Numbers, the start of the race, it was about this sort of gap around the 4-second mark, and he didn't get it over Casper. So as it stands right now, as this time's falling down, he might not even get his playoff point after all.
The gap was 2.2 when Jamie Griffiths pitted, but it was 4.1 when he opened up that lap where he pit. And it is exactly a mirror image that Gareth Hall is creating for us. Jake O'Sullivan, I'm sure, would love to take it away from him. 10's second penalty for Mr. Michael O'Kk. Not his track either. Ways 15th, Corey 14th, Nick 13th, 12th for Michelle, and 11th for Arnaud. Oh, no, Michael. Come on, man. And the gap is closing to 2.2 and 2.1. This is the most exciting thing happening at the minute.
It is.
And I don't think he's going to get it.
He's not. And Jake's not going to give it to him because Kieran's only 2 seconds behind. He's not going to give it up.
So we'll go on board with Jake O'Sullivan. It's a race to the line. And Jake O'Sullivan takes it. So Gareth Hall has not got a playoff point. But it is, Ben Shaw, one lap to go here in Zandvoort. And Jake O'Sullivan cruising his way to victory. But it won't be a total cruise because Kieran is very, very close. He's actually dispatched of Casper since the overtake. And like I say, it won't be simple, but it should be enough for Jake to get to the finish line. 1.7 the gap as we watch Kieran on this final lap here. It's not been a classic, but it's been pretty good. It's been okay.
It's had its ups and downs. I think the rain plays a big factor, doesn't it? It's been fun with the rain.
Definitely. The rain has helped. It certainly won't be back in Season 10, let me tell you that. Let's go on board then with Jake O'Sullivan for the remainder of this lap. We'll read off a few stats as we usually do for the race winners elect. Jake O'Sullivan, this is his 11th start this season, 66 points so far. He's only led 7 laps. He's won 1 race. He normally has 3 or 4 by now. But as he rounds the final corner and eyes up what will be a 13th race win, he's going very slowly. He's out of fuel. Kieran Spears is going to take him on the final corner, and he's going to win in the Netherlands. Unbelievable scenes. Kieran with his first victory of the season. Will he even get second, Jake? Yes, he will. Oh, that picked up at the end, didn't it? Andy Leroy's out. What's happened here? He's on the inside. Arnaud is up into P8. Massive moment. Kieran Spears advances to the round of 8 in unimaginable circumstances. We never saw that one coming, did we? Jake O'Sullivan only P2 over the line, Casper 3rd, and Khalifa P4. What a finish here in the Netherlands.
Oh my. What were we saying? It was slightly boring. The rain helped, yeah. Oh my god.
Well then.
Jeez.
That,
I've lost my words.
That picked up. And what did I say some 8-9 laps ago? It's all in Jake O'Sullivan's hands, but it doesn't mean he's won it. And it took us until the final corner where we noted he was going awfully slowly, and it's given Kieran Spears his first win. So Jake O'Sullivan does not go on to 13 race victories in the Cup Series, but what it does is it puts Kieran Spears level with Casper Klein. They are both on 9 all-time, but that is the first one for Kieran this season, and he is the 7th winner this season as well. And a ticket to the round of 8, making life a little bit easier as we progress through the playoff period. Safety car is out.
We've got a safety car.
There it is.
Has anyone made the stops?
Let me
We've got a
just
couple still there.
take a picture of that in case we lose it.
Unbelievable.
What's... Oh, we're waiting for OKK.
He's not disqualified from the session.
What's wrong with Michael?
The orders. It doesn't change the order.
No.
The safety car's out. He wants to get involved in the action, but Kieran Spears, you've got to be there. You've got to be there when it matters, you know. And I mean, he ended up with over 3 laps extra in his fuel. I'm just looking at the left-hand side of my screen. I don't understand how Jake's underfield by that much. He went 3.5 under. He's just said into the chat, but that's incredible. That is incredible.
And OKK disqualified as well, so that'll be another donut for him. Corey, by the way, 2 wins in a row, ends up 12th in this one. So the 3 in a row magic that Pete Knighton produced in season 1 and Kyle Smith gave us in season 2 remains more magical than ever. But it is the young Kieran Spears. Here he is on the top step of the Cup Series podium for the first time, Ben Shaw, since... Let me find the stat because I don't have it to hand because we weren't preparing for this.
Well,
Kieran won the opener. Oh no, sorry, he won the final playoff race of last season. Was that... It wasn't France, it wasn't the Super Speedway. It must have been something else.
Qatar.
Yeah, it was Qatar.
Because Khalifa won, however, he was disqualified, wasn't he? Or maybe it's the back of the grid, one of the two. I can't remember. But, I mean, that's got to be clipped and posted for as long as we can milk it, really, isn't it? That final 10, 15 seconds where we had the fuel go and Leroy crashing out, so many playoff implications in a matter of seconds. That is insane.
The
Netherlands, you know, it doesn't always do the job, does it? But when it matters, it's give us something that we can look back on at least.
Quick rundown. It's the 4Ks that lead the way in the Netherlands. Kieran, P1, Jake with no fuel, Casper, oh, that's Wind, who dominated the early proceedings, is P3, Khalifa 4th, and then Jamie without a K is P5. We don't have time to do the rest, but who cares? I think, Mr. Shaw, you might have a little word with Mr. Haslager waiting for you after your small celebration of him crashing out on the final lap.
Oops. I mean, that does still keep me above the cut for next week. I will just like to add with Quinn and Leroy both succumbing to the injuries.
Yes, it does. I'm just looking. Quinn. Where was Gareth in that? Where did he finish?
Gareth finished. It was a nice 7th, I believe it was. So he'll be happy. He'll be happy with that one.
Have a quick look. Gareth was P7. That's 10 points, which puts him... Oh, what would that be? 13. He'd be 6 clear of you. Leroy out means that you stay above the cut line by a point.
That's okay then. For an absent week, that's okay.
So there you go. At the moment it is Quinn and Leroy out, as it stands. And I'm just seeing your messages in the group chat. As it stands in the chase, I would say Jamie Griffiths got himself 12 points, which puts him +6. But it's Ben Harrett who finished 6th, gets 11 points. He will lead the chase over Jordan by, I believe, 4 points. So yeah, Ben Harrett leads the chase. God, there you go. Well, Mr. Shaw, if there's any final
about got my
words
breath
from
back.
you, this is your moment.
I'm just about getting my breath back. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable last couple of seconds. That was incredible. But however, goodbye Netherlands. We will never see you again. I don't think, unless it is in the season 10 countdown.
No, definitely not.
No. Well, goodbye. You've been a brilliant servant to the league. Brilliant is a very, very
Yeah, it's been okay.
brilliant with an asterisk.
A good ending,
yeah.
at least.
A good way to say goodbye to the Dutch.
And that rounds up
Definitely.
the Dutch week of JACKOCAR. It was Michel Goris on Tuesday night, and by sheer lack of fuel on Thursday night, Kieran Spears is your victor and into the round of 8. That will do it from Mr. Shaw and myself. I'll be back next week because what track is it? I'm not telling you. With I imagine Mr. Wyatt may return. But yeah, either way, Kia Series is back in. I don't know where they're racing. That's my league as well, and we'll be back with another track as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching.
Pleasure. Thanks so much.
JACKOCAR at its almost best. God bless.